All right, folks, this is Harris Sultan. And if there is one lesson that we all should have learned by now, in light of recent events, especially since October 7, 2023, that is F around, find out. What that basically means is that your ideological indoctrination, your own bubble, your echo chamber can lead you to certain beliefs. But when those beliefs are tested against the real world scenarios, then you realize that you are an idiot. And it might be too late by then, because you might be in the second phase of that lesson, which is the finding out part. So what do I mean by that? So we've seen lefties and wokes getting in bed with Islamists because they hate Western civilization. They hate the West so much that anyone who would help them in achieving anarchy, they would side with them. Some 50 years ago in 1979, that happened in Iran. The Islamists found some useful idiots on the left who were basically anarchists, socialists, some communists maybe. But overall, they hated the westernization of Iran, even though they wore Western clothes, but they just hated it. That's the nature of these lefties. So what happened? In the end, the Islamists took over the control of Iran, and then they either killed the left or exiled them. So the moral of the story is that Islamists always trump over communists, socialists, liberals, and lefties. But there is another little subsegment within the lefties, which is even more mind-boggling, that how could they ally themselves with the Islamists? Yes, you guessed it right. The LGBTQI community, okay? I am sure by now you all would have seen this phenomenon known as Gays for Gaza. Look at this. Queer solidarity with Palestinian resistance, okay? This happened in 2024. Look at this one. LGBTQ stands with Palestine. These are even more special kind of idiots. They are worse than your socialists and communists. They're also very stupid. Don't get me wrong. That is very stupid. But they think that maybe, we're using the Islamists to overthrow the Western status quo, will cause anarchy, and then we will eventually take over. So they have their agenda, okay? But these LGBTQ people for Palestine, they have no idea. These are the stupidest of the lot. Look at this. Look at this, queers for Palestine. So why am I showing it to you? You guys are saying, Harris, we already know that. Why are you showing this to us? Look at this, queers for Palestine. Okay. This is why I'm showing it to you. Okay. So the gay and bisexual community is in shock after they were lured by Islamists, by Muslims, and bashed on camera in IS-inspired attacks. Okay. So the LGBTQ community, who love the Islamists and Muslims, I am not laughing at the violent aspect of it, but I'm just laughing at the idiocy and the stupidity that they thought that it would be any different. Forget about IS-style Islamists or hardcore Islamists. By the way, as Muslims will tell you, there is no radical Islam or extremist Islam. There's just one Islam. And I'm telling you, standard Islam, Muhammad said, kill homosexuals. There is no suggestion of reconciliation or treatment of homosexuals. Once you have committed a homosexual act, then your penalty is only death. There's no rehabilitation. The Christian side at least tries to rehabilitate you and tries to do these therapies. No, in Islam, there's no reconciliation. There's no therapy. There's no rehabilitation. It's just death. But these idiots, sorry to say that, but these idiots think that for some reason we have to ally ourselves with the Islamists. So this is what happened, okay? Let me read that to you. Before the Bondi attack, LGBTQIA plus Sydney teenagers were the first victims of a new outbreak of public violence linked to the terrorist network that produced gunmen Naveed and Sajid Akram. An ABC investigation has obtained distressing videos and victims' accounts of IS sympathizers. Why IS sympathizers? They're Muslims. That told you there's no radical Islam or extremist Islam. It's just Muslims. So victims, accounts of Muslims hunting and bashing gay and bisexual boys on camera in Sydney. What's next? Analysts warn LGBTQIA plus Australians are among the most likely victims of Islam, with figures revealing scores of boys and men have been lured online and attacked across Australia by by Muslims in recent years.
دولة الإسلام بخية. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Kill him. Give us your money. Stop. Give us your money.
You want to be gay? You want to be gay? Yeah?
لا إله.
Okay, they said it. There's no radical Islam. There's no radical Muslim. Just Islam. Okay? You can't pin me on this. Muslims get angry with us when we say radical or extremist Islam. There is only one Islam. There's only one kind of Muslim. James, 16, screams as a pack of black-clad teenagers drag him to the ground and stomp on his head while an attacker films on his phone in Sydney's Strathfield Park. In another video, the gang forces a different 16-year-old into a toilet block and repeatedly punches him while calling him a F. You know the word, F? We actually call cigarettes that as well. And a kafir or non-believer, blood runs down his face as he begs, I'll do anything. A third clip shows a boy in a cropped top lying silent on the grass, his hands shielding his face as he's repeatedly stomped on and called a gay dog, while one attacker shouts, Dawlatul Islam, Arabic for Islamic State. I'll F shoot you, you little dog, one attacker says, before the victim finally emits a single high-pitched cry and the video cuts out. This is what you've done to your people. So I want to ask the LGBTQ for Palestine, LGBTQ for Gaza, gays for Gaza. I want to ask you idiots. I sincerely want to ask you idiots. This is the ideology that you support. Now, some people say, oh, yeah, I know they hate us. I know they want to kill us, but that doesn't mean that we should not stand up for their human rights. You know how stupid that is? That is akin to a Jewish person supporting the human rights of the Nazis. That's how pathetic that is. What exactly are we doing here? What exactly do these ideological movements intend to achieve? They intend to create societies in their image, in the image of their ideological beliefs. That's why I'm a sucker for Western values and Western civilization. You know, Western civilization is an extension of Christianity. Yes, Christianity had to give up and relinquish a lot of power in order for the current Western civilization to form. That's why I'm a sucker for Western civilization, that despite of our differences, we can coexist. But there are other ideologies at play that do not tolerate dissent, such as Islam, such as communism. And the funny thing is, these LGBTQI people and these lefties, they're always attracted to totalitarian ideologies like communism, like Islamism. And Islamism doesn't even like them. I'm not sure how communism sees LGBTQ community. I'm not quite sure. I know communism is inherently atheistic, and I'm an atheist, by the way, and I'll tell you to run away from communism. That's not the kind of atheism that we want in the world. Despite being an atheist, I don't think atheists create better societies. In the free world, atheists end up creating wokeism, which is the extreme level of liberalism, and we have seen the results of it. So I don't want that. If we want Christianity to stay there as a form of check on our free governments, then I'm all for it. Okay, I have this newly found respect for Christianity, not because of the supernatural element of Christianity, but because of consequentialism. Look at the civilization that came out of Christianity. Some might argue that it came out in spite of Christianity, fine. But it was because of the tolerant nature of Christianity that the scientific revolution, the Renaissance, the Enlightenment period could flourish or could happen under the nose of Christianity. That could not happen under communism. That could not happen under Islam. It didn't happen under Islam. So I want Christianity to survive. I want Christianity to play a major role in keeping an eye on our free, democratic, liberal principles. Now, I must make the distinction. I know America is a Christian country, or has been a Christian country for the longest time. Throughout the 20th century, America remained Christian. But at the same time, as a state, America remained a neutral, secular state. America did not let Christianity get out of hand. Okay, yeah, it gave some breadcrumbs, like in God we trust, and they had to fight against the evil atheist communism, so they used God and Christianity to defeat communism. All of that was good. So I want that marriage. I want liberalism and secularism to go hand in hand with Christianity. Otherwise, if we left it to the wokes and the LGBTQI community, then we're screwed. Because Islamists hate gays, yet gays chant gays for Gaza. Sorry, to go back to why we actually follow ideologies, what is the end game of ideologies, is to create societies. So these gays for Gaza people are basically saying that create a totalitarian Islamic society like the ones in ISIS-controlled territories, like the one in Afghanistan. What do you think is going to happen to gays of Gaza? So to say that, oh yeah, I understand they hate us, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't speak for the human rights. That is stupid, because you're helping homophobic people to set up a government in Gaza that would throw you people off the rooftops. And look how they behave. The latest episode just played out in Sydney. Look how they behave towards people like you. The entire lefty movement that stands with Gaza, that's just stupid. But the Gays for Gaza people, they are the special kind of stupid people. Special, worse. Let me repeat that again. This is akin to Jewish people fighting for the human rights of the Nazis. This is how stupid it is. So I thought I'll share that with you.